welcome. This is Beverly Fells Jones, the Silver Fox of Consciousness, and I just want to thank you for being with me today. This is just such a wonderful, beautiful, sunny, extremely hot day here in Texas, but I want to thank you for listening in on the show. On this show, I talk about how to expand your world of thought, explore the world of positive thinking, Bible based law of attraction, and consciousness from many points of view. And what I want to do is to share with you information that enlightens you and empowers you in your life. I want to encourage you to think of the positive so that you can see actually in your life that miracles can happen. Because I truly believe you have been given the power of the word and thought to create the life that you desire. You know, many of us over time, me, decades, but we all enjoy being in love. We have heard many times that finding and being in love is like the ultimate thing to happen to you. But the thing that hurts is when we lose that love. Whether it is a loss of that love because something happened, we did something, the person fell out of love with us, or they did something that hurt you or made you see them in a different light, and that love, that wonderful, heart beating, just all consuming love has gone away. Many of us get into a situation of, yes, I love that person, but I'm not in love with that person. Well, I'm talking about in love today. And being so very in love that you know that no matter where you are, where that person is, that love is there. Love makes us feel, I'd say light. Uh, we walk with a spring in our step. We smile. We are kind and caring with other people because our whole insides are feeling great. But when that love goes away, no spring in the step, tears, pain, hurt, all those things are there because we're missing that feeling. Now, for those who are scientific, they'll go, well, it's just those hormones get changed. Yes, the hormones, dopamine and all those other good things that make you feel good, you feel go away, but there is that emotion of losing a love. But sometimes, even in that loss, there is something good. There's also a thing called synergy. Or for me, I love to think about dominoes. If you've ever seen dominoes set on end and you hit the first one and then they all fall in certain areas and they do those things. Those things that they do over bridges and, they might knock over water or whatever, but it's synergy. And I like to think of dominoes in that light when I'm talking about manifesting, because sometimes certain things, some sequence of events has to happen in order for that manifestation to happen. That thing that you asked for, or that thing somebody else was asking for. Because sometimes you are just one of those dominoes that helps somebody else get what they're asking for. Okay? So, we're in Manifestations, True Stories of Bringing the Imagined into Reality. It is a book of multiple authors talking about the things that have been manifested in their life. I've always told you, and I tell you every day, that as you look into your life and look around you, you have manifested just where you are. And I know some of you are looking around and you may not be so happy, and we're in the time of the coronavirus and we didn't manifest the coronavirus, or did we? As a collective. Somebody did. Somebody brought that upon this world. One of the things you need to do, and I don't want to say need, but you should, is follow something that Neville Goddard, one of my mentors, has said. And I'm going to read from him. In 1969, he did a talk called The Creator. And he quoted from Paul's letter to the Romans, and he said, all the invisible things of God are clearly seen, being understood by the things that are made. Man is called upon to look at the made, yes, in order to discover the invisible God. So let's repeat that again. All the invisible things of God are clearly seen, being understood by the things that are made. So look at the flowers, look at grass, the trees, the streams, the rocks, the mountains, animals, yourself. These are visible things clearly seen. These are clearly seen, right? Invisible things of God are clearly seen, being understood by the things that are made. But here's the other part that he goes in the next paragraph. How? By questioning himself. Look around you and try to remember when there was nothing to support your belief in the present. But you had a thought and dreamed that one day you would have what is now yours. If you can remember, you have found the Creator to be your own wonderful human imagination. You're a creator every day, all day, every day. I look around me and I look at my home and I look at the things that I have, and I got too much stuff. However, looking and saying, I created this. I created this mess on my table. I created this by my thoughts and my actions. And so going back to that, the things that we have in our life, we create. And in the story that I'm about to read for you, there is a creation process. It's an interesting one, but I see the dominoes falling, and I see a person in here who is one of those dominoes that allowed this perfect, wonderful outcome to be there for this one woman. You see, she created it. They co-created it together, and an unseen person helped to create it because they were also a domino in the sequence. So the name of the story today, you already know, but it's True Love by Stephanie Levy. Let me begin. Where did you get this book? The guest at our bed and breakfast waved the hardback above her head with the urgency of a New Yorker hailing a cab. She'd recently returned from dinner with her daughter and granddaughter, making a special trip downstairs to inquire about the book. I'd been thinking about my grandmother as I set the table for breakfast, concentrating on pleating a napkin into an accordion. I slipped it through one of Grandma's silver napkin rings and spread it into a fan. The woman's question startled me from my reverie. Small, almost frail, she looked young for a grandmother of a college-age student. Her deep-set brown eyes entrapped me, waiting for an answer. Was her tone accusatory? Curious? She seemed tentative, as if holding something back. I looked at the book she held, True Love by Robert Fulghum. My friend Jeannie sent that book, I said. Jeannie's always going to yard sales. She sent a box of books to inspire me to keep writing my stories. Too busy to read, I'd shelved the True Love in a bookcase for the use of the guests. I thought I remembered an inscription, an address label inside the cover. Maybe she thought I'd stolen the book. Where does Jeannie live? Sacramento. But she also has a camp in Vermont. She could have gotten the book anywhere. It has an inscription on the first page. She pointed to the words, "To Mom, Happy Thanksgiving /Christmas 1997. Love, Roger." I hadn't noticed the inscription, but now I wondered about Roger. Was he so cheap he wanted this one book to count for 2 occasions? Then I envisioned his being a long-standing joke between him and his mother. Suddenly I liked Roger, picturing him repeating this private joke every year with his mom. There's a return label inside the cover, she pointed out. L. R. Milberger, Pleasant Grove, California. A blank look must have reflected my confusion. She studied the inscription again before enlightening me. Roger was my husband. This is his handwriting. At first I didn't understand what she said. Then I wasn't sure I believed her. Maybe she was senile. I hadn't spent enough time with this woman to evaluate her sanity. She quivered with intensity. I worried she might collapse. "Let's sit down," I suggested. I guided her to the love seat and pulled the rocker close enough to hear her story. Our knees were touching. He must have given this book to his mother. They both liked to read short story. Roger died 2 years ago this December. Her voice wavered. The wound was still fresh. His mother died before he did. She lived in Briar Creek, New York, along the St. Lawrence. Someone else handled the estate. Her books could have gone anywhere. She was drifting, taking a path through time, her thoughts traveling like the book in mysterious ways, taking this unlikely turn, devouring there, landing far afield somewhere in the distance. Roger was the most loving man I've ever known. He was my second husband. Before we were a couple, we were family in a sense. He and I were married to a sister and a brother. He's we spent holidays together, went to the same weddings, birthdays, and funerals. But our first marriages were bad. Our spouses cheated on us. Must have been a family trait. Her snickers sounded bitter. Eventually, both of us divorced. I became a single mother with two teenage daughters and a little income. I had to find work without skills or an experience. My daughter was wild. She nodded towards the upstairs bedroom. She got pregnant and dropped out of college. Roger would call and commiserate. He'd drive 6 hours to visit and help with my home projects. Sometimes he'd send money even though I never asked. Then a few years later, after fixing my plumbing, he looked at me and said, "You know, I think we should get married." And I said, "To whom?" She burst out laughing. I didn't get it. I wasn't used to thinking about him like that. So I told him I'd consider it. We laughed as she became animated by her tale. She wasn't senile. She was perfectly sane. She continued saying, time passed. Roger called every week and visited monthly after a year. I figured I'd thought about his proposal long enough. I asked him if the offer was still on the table. "Absolutely," he said. "When would you like to get married?" "Soon," I said. "Very soon." Her eyes changed focus. She smiled, and it seemed like she was pulling her thoughts from past to present. We married the next week. I'm so glad we didn't wait. We only had 7 years. I loved every minute of our life together. He was a good man. For the last year or so, though, I've felt that he's left me without keeping in touch. But this strange coincidence, having this book with his handwriting in my room, he sent me a message. I know he has. His true love endures even though he's gone. That's what he's saying. His love is with me still. She looked spent, jolted into this incredible discovery, reliving the emotion of all those years and memories. My friend had given me this book with all her love, an inspiration for my writing, repeating the gift of love from Roger to his mother, and the book had traveled a circuitous route, appearing on a bookshelf in my guest room, finding its rightful place in the hands of Roger's wife to manifest and deliver the message of his unending love. "This book belongs to you. Please take it." "Are you sure?" she asked. "Of course I am." I placed one hand on top of hers as I gave her the book. "Thank you," she said, her eyes glistening with deep emotion connected with mine. "No, thank you," I said. "The gift is mine, the story of you and Roger and your true love." How in the world a book from a different location, right? And this woman showing up at this bed and breakfast and finding her book. Nah, I don't call it serendipity. It was meant to be. She needed, this woman, she needed some kind of answer from Roger. She needed some kind of peace of knowing that she wasn't abandoned. Where are you in your life? Do you feel abandoned? Do you feel that you've lost great love? Or are you in the middle of a crisis and you don't know the way out? Then ask for infinite wisdom, universal mind, God, the Creator, to give you the answer that you need. And it can be as simple as just before you go to sleep at night, you think about the issue that needs to be resolved. And think about a resolution. It may not be the resolution that happens, but always give a resolution. We're going to think in the positive. We're not thinking in the negative. We're not thinking that something's not going to happen. Take the time and just think about what you desire. Neville Goddard, as I mentioned earlier, about the fact that you had a thought and dreamed a dream that one day you would have what is now yours. You do this every day, every minute, every second. So why do it unconsciously, but do it consciously? Before this lady was consciously asking for some information or some sign that her love was not lost, and she got it. I want to thank you for listening today, and get the book, Manifestations, True Stories of Bringing the Imagined into Reality, and the link is in the description. And I will see you, or I'll be with you in the next podcast. Thank you for listening today. Please share the link to this show with your friends and family so that they can learn how to be the best that they can be. Visit my website at commandingyourlife.com and follow me on Facebook. Have any suggestions for the show? Just contact me by emailing Beverly at commandingyourlife.com. Be sure to join me on the next episode. As you have believed, let it be done to you, and it is so.